Sal Albanese, former city councilman. Sal has also been at a number of our events. Sal, I think you've been watching, so you understand we're doing 8 minutes with an interruption, then 5 minutes after that.
Oh, sorry. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sal Albanese, and it's great to be here to talk about a very important topic facing the city, the survival of the libraries in this town, which I think are essential to having a great city. A city should not be just about luxury condos. It should be about good transportation. Libraries are an essential part of neighborhoods, and we're watching the destruction of the Brooklyn public libraries and also citywide. I always draw on my own experiences. I grew up in Park Slope when it was a working class neighborhood, and we didn't have a lot of money. My mother was a garment worker, and my recreation was the 9th Street Library and the Park Slope branch. That's where I went after school. I used to check out a lot of books, 4 a week sometimes, and it's been a central part of my life and my sister's as well. So these libraries are essential to the city's future, and we're watching the erosion of it. We have the real estate industry is running amok, basically, in the city. That's what's happening. I've drawn a very, very clear line when it comes to contributions. I'm not accepting a dime from the real estate developers in this city or the lobbyists who represent them. Look, real estate developers are business people. They want to maximize their profits, and they see these huge buildings, these great buildings, or landmark buildings like the libraries in Manhattan and in Brooklyn, here in Brooklyn Heights, and they see dollar signs. But the bottom line is that government officials should be making decisions on the merits. They shouldn't be working with the real estate industry behind the scenes to sell these libraries off. We saw what happened with the Donald Library that was sold off in 2007. There was no public input at all. Where was the city council? It's easy to blame Bloomberg for everything, but we do have a city council. We have a public advocate. We have a comptroller. These things don't happen by accident. They're not happening in isolation. I mean, where was the public hearing on these issues that are so important to the city? City council does have a library committee, I think. I don't know if they've held any hearings around these major issues facing the city, but these are things that people should be asking. We have a political system that's really broken, and it's really been co-opted by big money. The New York Times has a great editorial today how the real estate industry is now piling on to get involved in city council races. They're spending millions of dollars, and look, they're in business. This is what they do. It's legal. But elected officials have the obligation to represent the public, not folks who are trying to maximize their profits. We've got to make decisions that are going to impact the entire city. So I maintain in this campaign that all of the things that are being talked about by some of the leading candidates about, they're all outraged about library closings. They're outraged about the lack of affordable housing. These people have been in government for 15 years. I've been in the private sector for 15 years. I come back. I'm proud of the fact that when I was a city council member, I authored the city's first living wage law, which really made a difference to lots of people. And we were paying those people $12 an hour. And here we are in 2013, we're debating a $9 an hour minimum wage. And when I was a city council member, I didn't take any Lulus or stipends. I didn't want to be co-opted by the leadership. And my reform credentials, I think, are important to making sure that we have a mayor going forward that's going to make decisions that are in the public interest. And the library system is essential. I will make sure it's baseline funded. I will make sure that the hearings, there were lots of hearings when we talk about changes to the library system. In Seattle, when they reformed the library system there, the head of the library system had hundreds of hearings with community groups around the city to get input from folks. Here we do things in an opaque way. It's not transparent. So we need a transparent system. We need fair funding. And it's important to the city's future. I mean, we just can't have all of our neighborhoods with luxury condos. Eventually that's going to collapse, and we're going to have a lot of problems in this town. So very important. I mean, listen carefully to what all the candidates say. As I say this over and over again. They're outraged. They're furious. They're shocked. You think they were block association presidents. One is the controller. one is the public advocate, one is the council speaker. I mean, I can't believe the incredible nerve of some of these people, because they should be held accountable for some of the things that have happened in the city on their watch. So thank you, and I look forward to questions.
Thank you for coming here today. Question for you from the Committee to Save the New York Public Library. How was it that there was an authorization of $150 million in taxpayer money to the Central Library Plan without any hearing or any scrutiny?
I think it's outrageous. Once again, it points to what I've been saying throughout this campaign, that we have the public is locked out, and special interests dominate the city council and dominate the mayor's office. I mean, the mayor is, you know where the mayor's from. We know his orientation. He's certainly independent. But he's somebody who believes that his philosophy is, let's build as many luxury condos as possible. Let the real estate industry run amok. The fact is that the city council should have had major hearings when that was a major issue, and no one seemed to know where $150 million for capital money, how it got to that point where without any real hearings or public input. That's the crux of our problem. It's a broken political system that needs to be totally revamped.
So we're seeing shrinking libraries being sold off under the current administration. We see librarians reduced in staff about 20% less than what it was in 2008. Mm-hmm. We're also seeing that they're not requiring the MLS degrees, being replaced by administrative staff. And now we understand that in the schools, Bloomberg is pushing for a waiver that would allow the schools to no longer require schools to have school librarians. And yet the research and statistics show that libraries reduce the crime rate, they reduce the teenage dropout rate, and we'd like to know what you have to say about.
Carolyn, it's common sense. I mean, libraries really do take kids off the street. I go back to my own experience that has grown up in Brooklyn, and librarians are essential. I mean, I went to John Jay High School. It used to be, now it's been redesigned on 7th Avenue, and the librarian in that building was a trained person, and she was very, very helpful to us in terms of looking up books, just teaching us how the libraries operate. So library science is a science. You've got to be trained. You can't have waivers of people without proper training becoming librarians. So I would oppose a waiver. Mm-hmm. And the funding, obviously, I would baseline the funding so that we would have adequate resources for our library system. And once again, I think John Liu pointed it out. As the services deteriorate and the capital money is withdrawn, all of a sudden these libraries are in disrepair, and we have to sell them off. It's been neglect over the years that's making it convenient now for them to sell these places off. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you're aware, but many librarians have been asked to sign non-disparagement agreements so they can't talk about what's going on. That's something that we were unaware of in the past with public, employees. What are you aware of that, and what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's outrageous. I think the fact that, once again, you go back to the Seattle redesigning of the libraries, the librarians were part and parcel of the discussion of how the libraries should be designed in that city or reconfigured, and they were major players. Here they're treated as serfs, no input. I think it's unbelievable. It's outrageous. The last two library heads had no library training. I don't believe they even come from that field, which is also problematic. I mean, the person I would put in charge of libraries would be someone who really has a vision for libraries and has the training and expertise to lead the library system in the city, which has always been a major part of the city's attractiveness.
Mm-hmm. Please speak off please let us know what you think about the current sell-off and shrinkage and underfunding of libraries as related to the proposed sell-off and privatization of other public assets, such as schools, public housing properties, parks, and hospitals.
I'm totally against it. We're seeing it all over the city. I think John pointed it out, and others have pointed out. We're selling off parkland. We're trying to sell off parkland in Queens for soccer stadiums, which I was opposed to, which parks are an essential part of the quality of life of the city. I'm against the selling off of lich to real estate developers, and I just think it's bad public policy. Public assets should remain public. They should be adequately funded, and great cities are about these assets. I mean, you have great parks, great libraries, and once you erode that, then the quality of life of the city declines. So I'm totally opposed to it.
In the 42nd Street Library, the main library, you probably are aware that about 3 million research books have been removed and the stacks are empty. There are plans to sell off the Mid-Manhattan Library across the street, the Mid-Manhattan Library being the most popular and well-used library in the country. What do you think about the sell-off of Mid-Manhattan Library and Sybil and creating a circulating instead of a research library at the main library?
I think it's outrageous. I'm totally opposed to it.
Because the Committee to Save the New York Public Library is finding that the research scholars that are coming here from all over the world are having a hard time, much harder time getting the books that used to be so easy to get within minutes. So,
no, I think it's, once again, it points to what I said before. I think it's just wrong, and it's bad public policy. And once again, I mean, William Rudin, who's from the real estate industry, was front and center with in terms of the proposal to sell off the libraries. I mean, they see tremendous opportunities for huge profits, like the sale of St. Vincent's Hospital. So I think it's bad public policy, and I would be totally opposed to it. As I said, New York City is a great city, and the library system has always been a major component to that. And under an Albanese administration, we would fund it adequately. It would be there would be transparency. There would be tremendous public input, and we wouldn't let the private sector, especially the real estate industry, run amok in this city so that everything gets turned into a luxury condominium. But I want to point out that you all know, Carolyn and Michael have done a great job organizing people around the city around this very, very important issue. You should all be commended for doing that.
thank you. Do you have any closing remarks?
No, once again, my closing remarks is simple. I believe that people in this city are looking for leadership that is independent of special interest. You need a mayor that's going to make decisions on the merits. And I'm not anti-real estate. I'm not anti-development. We just got to make decisions on the merits. We got to make sure that the city of New York continues to thrive and still will be a great city, one of the world's greatest cities. And the library system is part of that greatness. And I just want you to, once again, don't listen to just follow the money. The rhetoric is great. Everybody's against this, against that. When you look at the campaign finance system, one of the reasons why we don't have a blitz of commercials on the air is because I'm not being funded by the real estate industry. I'm not being funded by lobbyists. And it's the amount of money that's going into these campaigns is outrageous. And it's all coming. It's not coming from average New York. It's just coming from special interests. Specifically the real estate industry being number one. And I just think that any mayor who gets there is not going to be able, who gets there funded by these sources, will not be able to make decisions on the merits. You're going to have a lot more meetings like this. There'll be a lot more libraries being sold off, and the city's quality of life will decline. And I say I'm pro-business. I don't hate real estate developers, but if you get there owing every lobbyist in town, you're just not going to be able to make decisions on the merits. I don't care what they tell you. As I said, they're all outraged, they're shocked, they're dismayed. And then you look at the campaign filings. The public advocate is out there rallying against the real estate industry, and he's got $400,000 of real estate money in his coffers. I mean, it's just incredible. and their lobbyists. But that's the tip of the iceberg. The money, the $400,000 that I pointed out, or the $1 million that Christine Quinn has, is the tip of the iceberg, because then you've got the bundlers and the lobbyists who are also funneling money in there. So all of this rhetoric will be for naught if you get there owing favors all over town. And I refuse to play that game, and I'm hoping people in the city will realize that by Election Day. So thank you so much.